everybody, this is Liz Main with Author X, and today for our Premium Tools for Authors series, I'm going to show you how you can use Inkarnate. That's ink, like a bottle of ink, arnate.com. And it's a pretty interesting tool. It allows you to create fantasy-style maps, both world maps and city maps, and any kind of detail that you'd like to add. Now, I have the free version, and I'm going to show you what you can do with the free version. I may have a video about the premium version, but I'm not totally sold on the premium version of this program, and I'll explain why throughout the video. The main thing I'll say is it doesn't allow you to load, as far as I can tell, it doesn't allow you to load existent maps, like images that you have, to use as a template that you can use and then maybe discard that map, so you just have your creation based on the template. You have to keep toggling back and forth between images, which is not, it's a little cumbersome, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Now, maybe you can do this with Pro, but I haven't seen that. So I'm just going to show you how I'm going to try to make a map. I'll show you what kind of map we're trying to make today. Let's go to Google Maps. Now, I have a fantasy story coming out. It's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It's set in an island that doesn't really exist. It's an island basically right in the middle of this sea here. It's called Lorca. Maybe it's a little over here, but it's right in the middle of the North Sea. It's called Lorca, and that's where the island is. And we have a little bit of, we have some references to a young man, the love interest, who lives kind of around in this area of the UK. And so I want to use this map for reference for one of these maps here. You can see I had a previous attempt to make a map based on it where I made Denmark almost the same size as the entire UK, which probably violates at least 10 different international treaties, but whatever. And then there was another attempt here. As you can see, I'm not a very gifted artist. I mean, maybe I am, but those gifts need cultivation. And if you're not naturally a great artist, or if you just need help, this may not be the tool for you. And it also may not be the tool if you're not going to make a whole bunch of maps. If you write a lot of fantasy novels or fantasy stories and you want to have a bunch of maps, you want them to be super detailed, this is a great result. And honestly, it's not that expensive. It's $25 a year or $5 a month. So it's not going to break the bank, but I really want you to think if you need it or not. So I'm going to show you what you can do with the free version. We're going to go to this button, Create New Map. Now you can see on this left-hand sidebar here, we've got free and pro versions, and we're just going to stick with the free ones. And you can see these are city maps, which is not really what we want to make right now. We want to make a map of the entire world. And you can see the kind of detail. These are different templates you can use. You can look, these are battle maps if you want to load battles, show, you know, these are buildings as well, so you could just use it to show the inside of various buildings. Fantasy battle maps, a different feeling. This one's a little bit more 3D. There's some shading. As you can see, they look pretty good. Regional. This is a regional map if you want to have, say, a map of the Shire or the map of a town. Maybe if you're writing an Academy series, this would be a good one. To show the academy and the town surrounding it. It can also be used to make an island, and you can see all the different regions in the island. I might make a map like this later. I'm not totally sure. But as you can see, there are various different styles that you can use. It's very versatile. And then we have Parchment World. This is just for Pro. But you can see it looks really nice. It really honestly looks like something you'd see in a professional book. Yeah, that one is not what we're going to use. We are going to use the Fantasy World free version. These are also very nice, but they're a little different. And now we're going to select a style. This style looks okay. I'm not sure if we're going to be using it though. This also looks kind of nice. I think we're going to be end up using this one. Here's another style we could use. Let's just use this one for today. So we're going to choose style. Now, as you can see, you can make medium or high resolution if you want ultra resolution, or if you want one of these other aspect ratios or a custom aspect ratio, you have to go pro. For landscape, it's going to be 40 by 30 tiles. So I'm going to create map. It's initializing. And now here's our canvas. Now here's what, before I introduce you to all of the different tools, and there are a lot, I'm going to create a screenshot of this map, because you can see this map is way wider than the map that we have here. So I'm going to go to Google Map. Actually, no. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here, and you can't really see this part because I'm doing it in real life, but I'm taking a couple of Post-it notes and putting them right at where the edges of my image are, so I know where to put the screenshot. I know how big the screenshot needs to be. I'm going to put one pointing right at the corner, the upper left-hand corner and the bottom right-hand corner, and that will show me when I go into Google Maps. That'll show me where I gotta go. Yeah, you know. So low-tech solutions are sometimes the best ones. So this is a low-tech solution to a very high-tech problem, or moderately high-tech problem. Okay, let's go to Google Maps, and I'm going to go and select Control or Shift Apple 4, and I'm going to make a screenshot that's about this big. Is that the area I want to cover? Yeah, that looks about right. And there we go. Now that's going to appear, and that looks good. Now where do we want to put Lorca? Why don't we decide that when we make the map? We're going to say done. Now I'm going to go to Finder. I am going to go to Desktop and scroll all the way down. Is it going to appear? Here we go. So this is the part I was talking about, that the reason I don't really want to take the plunge and get the paid version is that, oh, you know what I'm going to do? Is that I have to keep toggling between this image here and this file. I can't load this as an underlayer and use it to draw from as a direct reference. I have to keep toggling between them. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press this icon, add it there. It's going to load as a new tab in Chrome, and that makes it a lot easier. I'm going to take these Post-it notes off as well. Their job is done. All right, so now we can see roughly the contours of the world we want to use. Like I said in the introduction, this is not something I've practiced. It's not something I have a lot of experience doing, so if I get the coastline incorrect, if I cause an international incident, I'm sorry. I am trying my best. So let's start over here with the UK. We're going to start with this bottom coastline. This looks like this is at about the 25% mark for the width, and we're just going to start by drawing this little depression here. Now I'm going to show you the tools. This shovel tool up here is the mask tool to create your land masses, and you can use, I'll show you, before I get into doing all the nitty-gritty, I'll show you the different versions. Here, this one is an edge tool that it gives you kind of nice uneven edges, which is kind of cool. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can also change the roughness so it's even more rough, or you can change it so it's even less rough. This is so it gives a different texture. If you click this X, it just defaults to 8, which I think is pretty good, pretty happy medium. But if you want to change that, by all means. Then you can also just do a circle, and that'll create a completely even landmass. You can also do grid blocks, and that will just fill it up with blocks. You can make them bigger. As you can see, these are at an angle, which is kind of, this is better suited for some of the city maps or the regional maps, because this looks kind of awkward if you're, these maps are supposed to be from overhead, so this looks a little weird. You can also create a giant square like that, or you can subtract everything, and now you can see we've got a big square there. Same with a big oval, add, subtract, or a big polygon, add, subtract, and then just change that. And then you can also, if you do the fill the outline, same thing. So I'm just gonna take this square and I'm gonna get rid of all this. Let's go, or in theory I am, hold on. How do I get to that controller? Okay. And I'm gonna subtract this. Okay, so this, now that I've shown you this tool, we are going to create our coastline for the UK. Let's get rid of this, and we're gonna just start with here. We want to make it kind of, this is going to be an approximation. So this, it's on add. Let's see. So there we go. This is this part. If you want to make it smaller, you can make it a bit smaller for the next part. Give some more detail. I'm going to try to get the rough sketch of this coastline. If you want to get the rough sketch and then add in things like this river, you can do that. That's what I'm going to do. So let's just have that. All right, and then we've got this little peak there, and then it goes to a curve. Let's see if we can get that. All right, are we too high up? I think we are. I think we're too high up, but because this part is at like roughly the 75% mark, this is the top of Scotland for this map anyway. I don't think it's the top is sort of over here, but that's not in the map. So let's go up to the top. This is kind of where Scotland is, and there we go. Sorry, I don't, if I just cut off your hometown or something like that, I really don't mean to. I'm just trying to learn this tool and show it to you at the same time. And don't worry, we can fill in a lot more detail. And then this is a little bit too sharp because I'm trying to make it meet this line here. So I'm going to go to subtract and make this bigger. Actually, I'm just going to use this tool here and make it, let's see. Yeah, we're going to subtract this part here, then go back here, and let's see. So we have this, and then it's going to go out and kind of come down like this. This is why I think it would be nice to have an overlay or underlay feature, whatever you want to call it, just so I wouldn't have to keep toggling back and forth. And think of how many fantasy maps out there are based on real places. I know Game of Thrones is based on England. It's the map of Westeros kind of looks like England and Ireland smushed together, which I'm sure also violates numerous international treaties, but be that as it may. There we go. Then let's have this thing, and then we're going to come down like this. This is roughly, very, very roughly, the outline of the UK, not really. But this at least gives us an outline to work with that we can change. Now we've got this little part here. And then down here with, is this Wales? It's not labeled here, but this part, and then the Isle of Man. So we're going to go like that. there we go. As you can see, not the worst, not the best. There's no, as far as I know, there's no like paintbrush fill-in tool. So we're just gonna make this like this, and then we're just gonna kind of fill this in. And yeah, this is just the outline. You can go in and add all sorts of details. This is just giving us a rough outline of the island so that we can go and fill in the rest later. And let's see, here we go. And if you want to change the roughness, that's another thing you can do. Add a little more character. The nice thing about this being a fantasy world is it doesn't have to totally conform to what England actually looks like. Although if this was historical fiction, we'd be in big trouble. So this is a rough look at how it looks, and if you want to subtract, we can do that. It does look a bit wonky, I'm not gonna lie, but I think it looks okay for right now. Let's see. We need a bit more. This kind of goes like that. There's a little lobe there. No, wrong way. Alright, well, there we go. So you can see how you can draw an outline. Let's go back. Let's see, we want to draw Norway is here at kind of like the third mark. And this I'm just going to draw. This is just like a big semicircle, semi-oval. We'll draw that. So it's like roughly a third of the way through. And then you've got this long fjord or what have you there, and it goes up, and then we go down like this. So I'm just gonna, you know what, I'm not gonna fill these in right now. I'm just gonna get the look. Let's see, this is kind of cutting off Denmark, so we're just gonna have this go down like this. And why don't we have, wait, let me see if I can do something. Hold on. Can I move this over like this? No. Let's see. Let's subtract this. And let's try again. Maybe a little bit further like this. And then you've got this long coastline coming down, leading into what's Denmark. There's Copenhagen. This looks like this is a little island here. Let's see. Probably speed up through this part. This looks nothing like Copenhagen at all, but we're gonna have this part. And then we've got Denmark, which has a bit of a different look to it. Let's see. Okay. No, and I have it facing the wrong way. It's kind of going the wrong way. Well, that's easily remedied. Yeah, so I'm just going to, let's see, I want to change this so it is facing kind of this way, like an open parentheses. Okay, so there we go. Very, very rough approximation of Denmark. Just going to lead down like this, past into mainland continental Europe, which is going to be kind of like that, and go like that. So there we go. This is not, there's probably should be some more space between these two, but this is a reasonable approximation of this. If I was doing this on my own instead of a tutorial video, I would keep futzing around with this. but I want to show you some of the other features of Inkarnate. So let's go to the brush tool. This is texture, and color is for Pro. Now you can see these are your two options for Pro. But let's open the catalog of textures. These are all the free textures that you can have. You've got different kinds of greens. You can have it absolutely black. You can have it kind of white if you want to show snow, water green, land, more land. We're going to use a grass green here. And actually, you know what? Why don't we go to maps? And let's go to, let's see, North Sea. Let's go there. There we go. We can do something cool where we do layers. And now we've got satellite, and you can see England is actually really quite green. William Blake was not lying. And then here's some mountains up here. Maybe I should have done this instead, but this is a good reference. You can see there's a whole lot of greenness. Maybe this was taken in spring. I don't know, but let's see. Do they have kind of a darkish green color like this? I don't think anything is quite that dark, but let's see. Yeah, that's really pretty. Yeah, I think we'll at least start with that. Now you can see some of these are Pro. If we had Pro, we could use something like this, which is maybe more accurate, more like that. But for now, I think we're going to stick with this. Let's see how this looks. So you can swirl that around. This looks all right. Here we go. And you can cover the whole island. You can cover just part of it. If you bring it out to the ocean, it won't do anything. So don't worry about that. And there we go. Now let's say you wanted to add another texture. Let's say you want to get some of those mountains. I mean, the mountains look like they're kind of off to the side here. But this part right here has some of those mountains. So you could open the catalog. Maybe you want some of this here. Maybe these here. Water gray, land gray. Oh, which one? Maybe this one is a little bit. Now, with this, you have the same controls that you do with land. You can make it an edge. You can change the size. You can make it a grid. Let's try like this. That I'm not really feeling. I think that's a little, the borders are a little too strange. So I'm going to go with this. And with this can be the opacity. So you can change the opacity and the softness. You can change. So here we're adding some, and you can see it's not super opaque, but it's giving some feeling to this. If you wanted to make it more opaque, you could do that. Now it's a bit stronger. You can see this part here. We'll just draw some borders around that. And then you could add more. Let's say you wanted to add some darker parts. You can do that. And you can add these as you like. You can see how this would take some skill and some practice to really get this right and to make it look good. It's not just a matter of as many people think with digital art, you just press a button and Michelangelo art appears before you. That's not really how it goes. So this is just a window into how to use this tool. Okay. Let's continue. Let's see. So this is a texture. Stamp tool is where you have different stamps that you can put on your eye. Now, if you wanted to do Lorca as just literally an island out in the middle of the North Sea, you can do that. And I think I might do that. It does look a little bit strange, but it is something you can do. And you can change the size of the stamp. You can change how opaque the stamp is. You can make it kind of transparent. You can rotate it. Make it whatever rotation you'd like. And you can make it above and below layers. This layering comes more when you have multiple stamps, because everything I think here is the bottom layer. But let's say you wanted to add some of these up in Scotland. Let's see. You could do that. Now that doesn't really work because it doesn't fit with the textures. So I'll show you some of the other stamps that are available. There are not that many stamps available in the free one. I think a lot of people probably joined just for the stamp options, but there are some. You can see there's trees, there's a few different types of mountains, there's heraldry swords, a sea serpent, a ship, castle, a human city, farm, and then some banners and different types of banners. So these are all basically all the options that you have if you want to get pro. All the ones with stars are for pro. So maybe you want to get some green mountains for Scotland, or maybe this grayish mountain is a better fit. You can do that. Snow-capped mountains, hills, trees, terrain, all these different features. But I want to show you a stamp though. So let's see. Why don't we get a mountain of some kind? Let's try some of these large mountains. Now these are all the different stamps in this pack that you could add. Let's make them kind of small because this is a map of the whole world. So you could add some in here. And as you add them, they will automatically change to a different one, so you get that variety. It's not just the same one stamped over and over. And look at that, that's interesting. As you go higher, it automatically puts those behind it. You can make it even smaller if you want, or larger. If you want to show some smaller foothills down here. Okay, so those are how the stamps work. And then path tool is for pro. Let's look at the text tool. This would be text that you can put anywhere on the map, and you can change the font. Let's go back to the stamps and get a banner. And what kind of banner do we want to use? How about, which one fits? How about this one? And let's make this large. We'll call this here is Caledon. Down here is, how big do we want to make it? Let's see. You know what? I'm going to pull up medieval maps of the UK. Obviously it wasn't called the UK back then, but let's see what they looked like. Where did they put the text? I guess they put it just right there on the thing. There wasn't really a legend there. Okay, let's say Britain. That's a word they would recognize. Alright, okay, so maybe we don't need the banner. So let's just say this, our word for Scotland in this story is Caledon. We can put it up here. Now you can change the fonts. These all have kind of a fantasy feel to them. Lusitania, Quattrocento, Mate, SC. I kind of like the default one, which is Metamorphosis. Actually, this has more of an 18th century feel, so why don't we just call it Caledon? Or call it I Am Fell. This feels a bit more 18th century. You can change the rotation. You can make it curve. Spacing. Let's bring that back. Spacing, why don't we just, make it a little bit. Alright, yeah. Caledon, and then do we want an outline? Is it easier to see with an outline? Does it look strange with an outline? That's sort of up to you. You could also just have a shadow on it. That might be enough. And then, yeah, so this is how the tool works. You can see the way it works. And note tool, you can add hidden notes if you want to. It's time to add some. if you want to add a note, you could say, write Lord DM notes or anything else. So, Keldon notes, need to put a unicorn here. Save. Now this note will be here. I won't show up if you export it. And let's see, the notes are only visible here on this tab. Grid tool, the grid is only for Pro. Filter tool, let's see, add new filter. These are different filters that you can add. I kind of like it as it is, so I'm not gonna have that. Pan and zoom. This zooms in and out. So those are the tools, and if you're ready to save, you can press save new save changes. I'm going to call this North Sea map tutorial. Now if you want, now this is clearly not ready for prime time, but if we pretend that it is, that it's totally ready for us to upload it to our book file, we can go up to this icon here, this 3-bar icon on the right, and say export as image or Apple P. Export as image resolution. Can we do an HD export? No, that's only for Pro. Let's save the image. Now it's going to load. Let's see what it looks like. Yep, that's our image, all right. Well, you can see there's plenty of tools, and even if you just want to use the free version, you can make a pretty serviceable map. And if you want to get the Pro version, it's not very expensive, but it does take quite a bit of work to get a fantasy map that looks good, especially one that looks good enough for a book. I don't know how much an illustrator costs on Fiverr, but if you can get an illustrator for $25 and you don't want to spend all the time making it, this might be a good option. Like I said in the beginning, the one thing that kind of prevents me from taking the plunge and buying this is that you can't have a sort of underlayer or a reference layer underneath your image that you can use to draw over, because that would save a lot of time. So this is an option that you have, and you can definitely create many different types of maps with this. And if you write a lot of fantasy, this might be a good investment, or not just fantasy, historical fiction. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.